friends, and welcome to Jocelyn's Twilight Years, how to be a really old model. I have to say thank you so much to everyone who gave me such lovely feedback on last month's video, which was interviewing my family about their feelings about my being a fetish model. It meant a lot to me, and as a result this video feels a little lonely because it's just me. I'm right here on my own in a hotel in Edinburgh on Valentine's Day, alone. And it got me thinking about the things I'm good at. Some things because of what I do for a living, some things irrespective of. So I've made a little list of things I'm good at. You can decide whether it's because of my job or just because I'm myself. I made a list of things I was good at. It was a very excellent mental health exercise. I totally recommend doing it. It's lovely. Next month I'm doing things I'm not good at, which may be slightly less good for mental health, but it's a long list already. I'm going to start with the thing that got this question started in my mind, because it's Valentine's Day, but I've been away from home already for almost a week. So before I went, I bought a Valentine's card and I hid it somewhere in the house where Howell wouldn't look. The vacuum cleaning cupboard. I'm only joking, it's not in the vacuum cleaning cupboard. Of course Howell vacuum cleans. And I realised this is something I have to do all the time, this kind of planning ahead, because my life is in no way spontaneous. I like to book myself up as a model as far in advance as I possibly can. So at the moment I've got bookings in my diary all the way through 2018, and I don't have any gaps at all until September, and at the moment it's February. So obviously I am not someone who deals very well with uncertainty. As a result, I book myself up months in advance, and honestly if I could I'd book myself up years in advance, but so far I've not figured out how to get a 2019 diary. As a result of booking my professional life so far in advance, I have to plan my personal life similarly far. So Valentine's presents and cards have to be bought before I go on tour. I have to do repeat prescriptions for medication way more than a month in advance, because often I'm away from home for almost a month. I buy my Christmas presents normally in around August, and probably the saddest and worst of all these planning ahead things I have to do is I regularly have to pack suitcases for more than one trip at once. So I might pack for a 2-week tour, I'll pack another suitcase for when I get back from the 2-week tour, so I can abandon that case and pick up the new one, which is maybe full of stuff for a location trip abroad. And this has gradually become a way of life, so that in my dressing room I normally have several bags half ready to go, and it can be extremely strange. Sometimes weeks before a shoot I'm putting stuff into a bag for that shoot. That's one thing I'm good at. Here's another thing, and I don't think it is in any way related to my job. It's also a rather surprising thing for someone of my build to be good at. I really shouldn't be, but I am bloody good at wading into fights. I am in no way physically suited to wade into fights. I'm very weak and spindly, prone to crying, and yet if I see someone beating someone else up, I think in my mind I turn into a battalion of the SAS and I just go charging in. Now I'd love to say this is because I am, I don't know, brave, but I think the main thing is I consider myself to be the police of the world, like the sort of head girl of the entire society. And so if I see something which I do not think is right, I feel as though people will respond to my natural authority and stop doing it. So I've probably put myself in significant danger on more than one occasion. I sound ridiculous and posh and high-voiced. I'm not a scary person. My husband's phoning. Hello, Howell. Yeah, guess what? You're on my video. I'm making a YouTube video and I'm recording. It's the best thing ever. I am the world police. Yeah, So if you want to have a fight in front of me or bully someone, I will probably launch myself at you in a big, posh, horsey way. And you may not be frightened, but you might be quite inconvenienced. Pointing my toes at all times. I trained as a ballet dancer, so I do point my toes. But being an art nude model kind of forces you into doing very artificial things with your hands and feet a lot of the time. And after a few years of doing it, you discover that you can't really relax your hands and feet anymore. And so mine are always pointed, even when I'm meant to be doing something really casual, like maybe a stock library shoot where I'm meant to look like a woman worried at work. Well, I will, my face will, but my toes will be pointing. Other good things, ooh. In relation to being the police of the world, I am exceptionally good at telling people off who talk in movies. I think it might be because when I was a student, I worked in a cinema and I felt very strongly that I should protect people who were watching the movie from noisy people who weren't watching the movie properly. I think I might be quite authoritarian deep down. I don't think it's right to be authoritarian, and yet I think on some level I actually am. So I don't at all mind saying in a big, loud, posh voice, "Will you be quiet, please?" And quite often they do. I probably sound like the Queen, and they think the Queen's in the cinema with them and she's wanting them to shut up. This is something that is fascinating to me. I'm very good at bending. I trained as a dancer and as a gymnast, so I am bendy. I think I was naturally quite bendy anyway. And then professionally, for the last 15 years, I've been doing bondage modelling and art nude modelling, both of which require quite a lot of flexibility of you. So my elbows touch behind my back. I can do what's called in the bondage world reverse prayer quite easily. I can squeeze my elbows so that they're touching. I can do the splits. But most people who meet me will never know this stuff. One thing they will notice, especially if they happen to be a medical doctor, is that I find it very easy to touch my toes. And for many diagnostic procedures, it seems like they want you to do that. And so I'm spending my life in doctor surgeries, and they say touch your toes. And I totally can. And then I think, wow, this is a little bit like the beginning of a spanking film. And they always express great surprise. I'm really hoping that when I'm 80 and going to doctor's surgeries, I'll still be able to touch my toes and shock them. The extra dimension of being kinky. It is so worth it. Just a joy. The other thing that probably doesn't get noticed quite as much, but a few years ago I went to see a throat specialist who was poking around in the back of my throat with a big wooden spatula thing. And after a few minutes of probing, he said, "That's amazing, you don't have a gag reflex." And I know that it's been trained out of me by doing bondage modelling, and I felt very proud and secretly extremely kinky. But it was not something I could share with him, whereas actually it is a professionally acquired skill. I think probably anyone who's self-employed will relate to this, because one thing I am good at these days is I am good at being very self-disciplined indeed when doing work stuff first before doing nice fun things or sleeping. I think, in all honesty, to be a successful self-employed person, you probably have to be capable of that, because if you let yourself do the fun things first, your business will just die. Certainly doing my job has encouraged me to become extremely self-disciplined. I completely fail at self-discipline in many other aspects of my life, which we will probably come to next month. But when it comes to doing your work before you watch a movie, yep, always I can do that. One thing that I am blessed to be quite good at, it's no help for anyone else, but it's immensely entertaining for me, is I'm very good at asking very nosy questions. I really don't mind how intrusive the question. I just ask it. Now clearly many people do not do this, and many people do not respond very well to it. If I'm nosy enough to ask a question, mostly people do give me an answer, which is very excellent. I think I'm getting nosier and nosier as I get older. I'm just warning you in case you ever meet me. I'll just ask you. Sorry in advance. Now, possibly my sister models will relate to this, but one thing I'm very good at these days, and I'm annoyed that I've had to become good at it, I'm very good at casually avoiding letting people touch me. Yeah. Unfortunately, there are many people out there who are equally talented at casually touching people. So, there's a sort of debased dance that goes on between the over-touchers of this world and the people who do not want to be touched and have gradually developed skills to avoid the touching. It's very tiresome. If you're watching this and you suspect you might be an over-toucher, just stop. People notice and they judge. Women don't like being over-touched, it's horrible. Just an FYI, if you hug someone and they let go, that is your cue to let go. You do not want to be that person who hangs on when the other person is trying to make the hug cease. And finally, I'm not proud of this. I say I'm not proud of it, I am kind of proud of it. I'm very, very disturbingly good at holding a grudge. Now, I want to qualify that statement by saying I'm very slow to get to the point where I hold a grudge. But by the time I get to that point, whoever the person who's done it is has probably pushed me for so long and so far that finally I find there's no way back. I stay angry forever. I have no forgiveness in me. I'm slightly proud of it, but I acknowledge it's a bad thing. My good opinion, once lost, is lost forever. So, those are the things, some modelling industry related, some not, that I think I'm good at. It's taken me a month to put this list together, and it's quite a short list, isn't it? The list of things I'm not good at is much, much longer. So we'll come back to that in the near future, by which I mean on the 1st of the next month. But in the meantime, have a lovely Valentine's Day. Obviously, by the time you watch this video, Valentine's Day will have been long past. I'm having a lovely Valentine's Day. I'm reading erotic fiction. I just went out for a lovely Italian meal on my own and read stuff about an orgasm. It was amazing. I miss my family. Where are they? Got Lavender Bear. Lavender Bear, do you want to say goodbye? Goodbye. I've got pretty feet. Bye.